heading into your regularly scheduled broadcast. This is the Juice Box Heroes podcast, and we've got some breaking news. I'm sure most of you people have heard that we have signed Christian Walker for 3 years, $60 million to play first base for the Houston Astros. Inevitably, that is meaning Bregman, thank you, sir, for all you've done, but he, like Tucker, are gone. So, guys, first reactions. How y'all doing this afternoon? Then your reactions.
Well, first of all, PK, it's great to have you back.
Good to be back.
Honestly, I was driving. I was driving home, and then I just happened to glance at my phone and saw that Bryles had posted something. All I saw was Christian Walker. And at first, I saw Christian Walker Astros. I'm like, man, I thought it was going to be one of those texts that was like Christian Walker's, or the Astros missed out on Christian Walker. So I actually called Bryles. I'm like, dude, is this real? Like, what happened? So he kind of gave me the fill in, and I was like, man, this is awesome. I mean, this is one of the guys that I think, a handful of us have campaigned for as far as to go out and get you a first baseman. But again, you get excited and then you're like, oh, I guess we all know what this means.
Yeah.
So,
whatever.
It is what it is.
That was the same thing I was thinking. I was like, man, if we're going to spend $60 million on Christian Walker, which by the way is a fantastic pickup, and not only is that going to finally give us defense at first base, but also give us a tremendous bat to put back into that lineup. But yeah, I think the consensus now is that Bregman's probably going to be on his way out the door. That's assuming, though, that somebody's going to want to pay him what he wants. From everything that I've seen, the Astros have not pulled their 6-year, $156 million offer off of the table. So if he goes to Boston, Boston doesn't want to pay him, or if he goes to Toronto, they don't want to pay him, or even Detroit and they don't want to pay him, well, guess what? We've still got that contract sitting on the table right now. So then the question, which Chris and I were talking about earlier, is then what do you do with Paredes if Bregman does come back? My first thing was, can he play left field? That was about as far as I got.
Yeah, I think it's a stretch. I think we all think that, right? That Bregman actually signs. But in that scenario, yeah, it's what does Paredes do? Where does Paredes play? You might want to get a 14.5-inch glove and figure out one of those three positions in the outfield. So I like the Walker deal because it does solidify your first base. He's a 3-time Gold Glove winner. The last, I think, 2 or 3 seasons, he's had 25 plus home runs. The age and the amount of money, I think I just have PTSD from the Jose Abreu thing with an older player with a high AAV. But I'm optimistic. It's exciting. That Houston's making some moves. It is definitely bittersweet, like Moreno said, because it kind of closes the door on Bregman, although it's not official, right? But so it's kind of bittersweet. But I'm definitely stoked to have a real first baseman over there, with some power and some defense. So pretty excited about it.
Yeah, I think what it boils down to is I think that the Astros and Bregman were just too far apart money wise, and what this move kind of solidifies to me is that there is a team out there that probably gave him more than 6 years, and again, it sucks, going back to the last little episode that we did. We did the pyramid of the best Astros postseason players, and it's just like, man, it sucks to see him go, man. But at least. Like my thing was that I hope, after the trade of Kyle Tucker and bringing in these 3 younger players, is that they weren't just going to sit and wait on Bregman. Mm-hmm. And then Bregman decides what he's going to do. Maybe he goes to Boston, maybe he goes to Toronto, and then we're left with going after guys like Carlos Santana, going after guys that basically your Ben Gambles, your Jason Haywards, that's your guys that you're signing and hoping maybe they catch a spark. But, I definitely think this is the end of Bregman. I really do, because I just don't see a point of trading him unless the plan is kind of what they talked about with St. Louis, unless you're going to sign Bregman and then try to flip Paredes for an outfielder. That's the only way all of this and everybody's, hunky dory, unicorns, butterflies, that would work. So
I didn't even think about that scenario. I honestly didn't at all.
Yeah, that was like the first thing I was thinking when and then Chris took the words right out of my mouth. That was like the only way that works out if Paredes doesn't have a 14.5-inch glove, like you're saying, PK, is we got to flip him to somebody else, grab a top tier outfielder to go out there, and that's about the only thing we can do because we're not going to get rid of Cam Smith at this point. Now that he's the number one prospect in our entire farm. So the other two guys that we got in the Tucker trade, they're staying. But if we sign Bregman, I think Paredes then immediately becomes available, and that's about all we can do.
Yeah, I saw something on Twitter. It was actually right before we went on, and it's like, in y'all's wildest dreams in these last 10 years, would you have ever envisioned an offseason where we got rid of Bregman and Tucker in the same offseason?
No. I mean, unless we were at that point where we were kind of at now, where it was like the farm system was trash. But like honestly, it's like, can you envision getting rid of Kyle Tucker and Bregman and still have the feeling good of contending for the division? So I guess like in this scenario, like if I was like, okay, like essentially like you would kind of look at it as, like we did with the late 2000s, where it's like, okay, we got a bunch of older players, but like that team still didn't make the playoffs. That team still didn't win the division. So I guess like in a world where I'm like, okay, the run's over, we're rebuilding now, then maybe. But I think what blows my mind the most is that they've got rid of those two cornerstones and the pieces, we got back. I mean, in the Tucker traded and the Christian Walker signing, it's like these guys can still contend for the division. I mean, so it's not like this is a rebuild. Christian Walker, some like, up and coming prospect that we signed. I mean, so like they're still, in my opinion, still in it. Now, if they go get themselves an outfield bat, just one outfield bat,
We'll get Profar.
You can't have Dubon and Taylor Trammell platooning in right field. I'm sorry, I cannot live for that.
I think
you gotta go get somebody.
With Walker signing, it takes the pressure off, at least for me, the fan, of okay, what are we doing? What's the direction we're going, right?
Yeah.
Because if Bregman were, I think the report was that don't expect to sign in with Bregman until after Christmas or something like that, right?
Saw that.
So so it's, if he does sign after Christmas with somebody else and we're still sitting in the same spot, it's like doom and gloom. At least for me, it's like, okay, now what are we going to do now? But this Christian Walker thing, it kind of rejuvenates you because it's like, okay, we're doing stuff. Maybe they're being smart. Maybe they're being smart with their money, right? Because they're spending $60 million for this one player, where now they can go get a Profar or a Santander or Teoscar, whatever it is, right? Another outfield piece, to where if you get one of those three guys for your outfield, then how pumped are you? You know what I mean? I mean, you're sitting. I would think you're sitting pretty good. You're pretty happy about it.
No, I would agree. One of the things I will say, though, is, one of the hot takes that I saw all over Twitter, and it was started sometime about last week with all this Bregman stuff flying around and then Tucker getting traded, was that Dana Brown was on the hot seat. And it's like, if he didn't do something and get out there and do some stuff, then he was going to be gone after the season. Well, I think right now he just proved that he's going to be doing some stuff. So I don't think we have to worry about it. Now, the one thing we do have to worry is there was another text out there saying that, or excuse me, tweet out there that was saying we weren't going to go over the luxury tax, and that only left us about $20 million right now for this upcoming year. So if that only left us $20 million, guess what? We just spent all of it. So that could be a problem unless that has changed, or that was, just a rumor. So we'll see what happens with all that. But yeah, I agree. We're still at least one bat away in the outfield, if not two. And then we still got the big question mark, the big elephant in the room out there. So
Yeah, I mean, I kind of want to like I want to look into that because I would think Tucker was making what 16 last year, so he was probably going to get due for about what close to 20 in arbitration.
Yep.
So that's 20 million off, at least 16 off the books. Bregman was making like 26, so there's whatever that math is off the books. And then you had JV. So like I kind of find it again, and I'm not saying what you're saying is the word of the law, but I feel like they have a little bit more money, especially now that they traded Tucker, to go out and do something. And again, they may still be in play for Bregman, and the play might be we get Bregman and then we kind of package, because Bryles, you were saying that you read somewhere that package for Arenado was Paredes, Presley, and then a pitcher from AAA, which I would assume would probably
Yep.
be either Blue Ball or Colton Gordon. So I would assume it'd be one of those two. But again, if you can do that, and let's say again, this is only the scenario that we go and we resign Bregman, which now I think is pretty much done skates. I don't think I would be shocked. I would be shocked if that happened. So I would say you go out there and get you. I mean, what outfielder is available right now that would probably net you an outfielder? I'm like you're looking at what crappy teams. So what are we looking at? Chicago. I mean, I'm not sold on Robert because he can't stay healthy. I don't know. All the outfielders in Colorado are young, so they're not going to get rid of them. So I'm trying to think. Who Oakland's looking like they're building up, so they're no longer a priority
Yeah, they
as
signed
far
I
as
don't know
Gio
who's
struggling.
selling.
today.
I mean, Washington. I mean, but who's in the out? The Washington sold one of their better, trade pieces last year to Cleveland. So there's really no one else. I mean, so the way I see it is, I mean, like you stick with Paredes at third. You go out and maybe try to finagle something for Profar, right? I think what this move does is it probably eliminates us from the Santanders and the Teoscar because I think Santander's got a qualifying offer tag next to him as well. But if you can go out there, like PK was saying, you go out there, you go get Jerks and Profar. I'm okay if you got Profar and left, and let's say you move Chaz to right and you put uh, Myers in center. We kind of like flipped the script where it was like going into this off season, we're almost kind of like we're not. I mean, I think we all kind of expected Bregman to not re-sign, even though he hasn't signed anywhere yet. But it was the potential for this team to almost take a step back. To now, it's a lot more optimistic. To like, man, if we go out and get an outfielder, then it's like, holy crap! How do you lose Bregman and Tucker, and you're in a better position
Mm-hmm.
for the 2025 season? So it's kind of like again, people were ready to, tar and feather, Dana Brown, and then here it is in about a matter of a week, maybe a week and some change. Two moves get done, and it's like, oh, this team is not looking as terrible as we thought it was. But you got to go get another outfielder.
Well, I
You
think
have to.
with Tar and Feather, like it was one hand on the handle, one on the bottom, and now you just took the hand off the bottom, and now you're just holding the bucket. You're still waiting.
Yeah,
Like he still has to make a move.
yeah.
He still has to make a move. But I think do one outfield at bat, man, like that would put us back into play. I mean, it would make it a lot less difficult to lose Bregman and Tucker, like you were saying. So we'll see, man. We'll see. I mean, look, the winter meetings have only been over for what, 2 weeks, a week,
Yeah,
right?
I think it's been about a week.
So we'll see what happens in the next couple of weeks. But it's time to go get an outfield bat.
No, I agree. I mean, and like yeah, like you were saying something to like where like I like because it's easy to kind of get and you're watching the Yankees make all these moves. You're watching the Dodgers make some signings, and you're sitting here like, come on. I mean, I thought our window was always open, Crane. So it also allows us as fans to kind of take a breather too. Because I got like I was telling Brawls, when I was driving home, I was like, I understand, and literally I was thinking this to myself right before he texted me about Christian Walker. And I was like, man, I understand that the whole negotiations with free agents and trades is probably way above our pay grades from a fan level. But it's just like, man, can we just do something? Can we just do something? And then then we got the text about, Christian Walker. So I think we can all take a deep breath, exhale, relax a little bit.
Now we can all enjoy Christmas.
Now we can all enjoy Christmas. The Astros gave us an early Christmas present. Now the only thing that we can be greedy for is if we can go get an outfielder.
Yeah.
And I think we'd be good
Well,
to go.
and the one thing that we can also fall back on, I mean, if you remember the last couple of off seasons, there wasn't a whole lot going on at this time. I remember going all the way up into spring training, being like, "Are we going to do anything? Come on, give me some little piece of action, something that's going to happen." And they were like little transactions here and there, but nothing that is going to blow the doors off. And we've had just a ton of stuff going on compared to the last couple seasons. So anyway, I'm totally happy with everything that's happened so far. And then I still think, like we've all said, there's still moves to be made and things are going to happen moving forward. But yeah, we can all sit back in our chairs on Christmas and realize that Astros are not only doing stuff, but have still got more stuff to do. So
that's right. Just make sure everybody stays close to our Facebook page, our Twitter page. We will be posting updates there just as quickly as we get them. And then, of course, we're always going to cut in live when any kind of big signing happens with the Astros. So hopefully we do this again pretty soon, with the break into the signing. But I think overall, man, I'm pretty pumped about this, having Mr. Walker go and, rove around first base.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you think about last year, our biggest signing was Caratini. Until Graveman, blew his arm out, and then it was Hader. So
well, I had never heard of Caratini, to be honest with you, until last season. So but he was clutch. He was Mr. Pinch Hit clutch.
Yeah.
I always found a way.
No, I agree. So guys, anything else before we wrap this up and continue on with our day?
No, man. Hit him with the music.
I'm good.
All right. Well,
PK, there it is. I can hear it now.
There it is. Yeah.
Well, guys, I'm PK. That's Chris. That's Bryles. You guys listen to the Juice Box Heroes podcast. Big game this weekend. Tomorrow at 3:30. Hook 'em. And we're signing out. Go Stros.
Here we go. Have a Merry Christmas, guys.
Merry freaking Christmas. Early present.